Hello, I'm John Hanrahan and welcome. 2 years after Kathleen Turner made her sizzling debut in 1981's Body Heat, a sexy film-noir movie with William Hurt, she was cast in the adventure romp Romancing the Stone opposite Michael Douglas. A long way from her Body Heat role, Kathleen plays a mousy romance novelist who's forced to become an adventurous heroine. The making of the film had some hair-raising and physically challenging moments for the cast and crew. But when I spoke to Kathleen by phone from Sydney, she had just finished another film with often provocative British director Ken Russell, co-starring Anthony Perkins and Bruce Davison, titled Crimes of Passion. It was a film that would turn out to be quite controversial, not least because it ran into censorship problems and was castigated by many critics.
So listen, what are you doing now? Because obviously you shot Romancing the Stone last year and into this year, I guess.
We shot it up. We worked on it up until February, actually.
Right.
I just finished a film last week with Ken Russell directing.
Oh, really? I bet that was an experience.
Yeah.
What was the film?
It was. Oh God. It's not the most pleasant film, but I think it might be very good. I don't know. Russell is visually, I think, an extraordinary filmmaker, and we got along fine. But boy, oh boy, I think he's not your laid-back California type. You know?
No. I met him a couple of years ago in England, just after he'd done Tommy.
Yeah.
Well, it was more than a couple of years ago. So what was the name of the film that you did?
It's called Crimes of Passion.
And
It'll be out in the fall.
right, but can you give me a little bit of an idea what it's about?
Well, it's about, in the large scheme, so to speak, it's about the duality of people's lives and a lot of the hypocrisy in our social world. Specifically, it's about this woman who is a successful career woman by day and a hooker by night.
Mm.
Yeah, and not a classy hooker either. We're talking streets, you know.
Really?
Yeah, it was quite a experience.
Yeah, so you were out on the streets for a while there, were you?
Yes, in my platinum blonde wig, my 5-inch heels, and my heavy makeup.
Did you do any particular research for the role before you started?
Yes, I read a great deal of psychological studies.
But you didn't go and talk to any hookers or anything like that?
Well, they didn't really want to talk to me.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you tried, did you?
It seems very condescending, you know.
Did you actually try to talk to them?
Yeah, I tried to set them up, and I just really had little to no success. It was everything seemed so hostile. It didn't seem like I was doing anything but sort of hurting other people, so I stopped.
Well,
anyway, we can talk about romancing?
Absolutely. Tell me the...
Okay, so Michael Douglas will be upset if I don't. He's a nice guy.
Right. As far as the role goes, was it just an obvious thing you wanted to do, or did you have to think about it a little bit?
About romancing?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was doing a film in North Carolina with an Australian director, actually, Philippe Morris.
I know Philippe, yeah.
Yeah, so we did a film, Breed Apart, should be out this fall also.
And John Dennis, I can't think of his last name.
John Dennis Davis, John David, oh heavens.
Yes, right.
Now you just threw me off.
Right, yeah,
Dennis Johnston.
That's right, yeah, he's over in...
Yeah, he was in it.
That's right.
Rutger Hauer and stuff. Oh yeah, you know John Dennis, huh?
Well, I've just come back from Spain and the Cannes Film Festival, and both of those two are doing a film in Spain with Paul Verhoeven.
Rucker and Brian are all there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we all worked together on it. Anyway, so I was there working on that film, and they sent me a script, and I got about halfway through it, and I was on the phone to L.A. saying, when can I meet these people?
Right.
Because it was, it's one of the few scripts I've read where woman or man, but especially a woman, gets to change so much.
Yeah.
You get to see within one film somebody go through such an arc of change.
Right. I hear there was a little bit of doubt in, I'm not sure whether it was Michael's mind, but some of the people in the about whether or not you could sort of make that transition from the so-called dowdy.
Yeah, they were all afraid that that I was a little too strong to do the early Joan. You know, as though there's only one side to a person. You know, like a two-dimensional thing.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but I'm always a little scornful of some of these things.
Right.
Anyway, so what we did was we set up a kind of an improv screen test at Fox. They gave us a studio one day and sort of a living room set, and I just sort of shuffled around as Joan and answered the phone and answered the door and acted scared and timid and insecure, and they liked it.
And it wasn't difficult for you, obviously.
Well, I certainly there's that part of everybody, and that's not so far off from me anyway, so that was fine. I don't have any problem
Right.
doing that. I mean, it's so strange to have people come up to you who've only seen Body Heat or Two Brains or something and say, "Oh, but you're nice." And you say, "Yes, I am." Well.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I guess you're tall. You've got a nice, rich voice, and so on. So the superficial side of it can be, I guess, a little bit misleading.
Well, I think of course there are so many assumptions about people, and I mean men as well as women, that if you have a certain amount of attractiveness or whatever, or can command a certain presence, then you don't have any problems. You know?
Right. So what about the making of the film down in Mexico? Did you? I ran into a guy in Cannes called Greg Navas who did a film called El Norte, and he had some hair-raising stories about working in Mexico. Did you have any problems at all?
Well, we had problems with the weather just because it rained endlessly, and that was very rough because, you know, it's a little tough to be soaking wet 14, 15 hours a day for days on end. It's very draining.
Yeah.
But and of course the production problems that came out of that. But I'll tell you, Michael Douglas is the most extraordinary producer in my grant you limited experience, but nonetheless, that I've ever met. One night we got back to the hotel, you know, the crew and everybody, and found out that all the roads into our location the next day had been washed out. And we said, well, what do we do? What do we shoot? Where do we go? And he said, we'll worry about that in the morning. And I get up, 4:35 in the morning to go to work. And there are 25, 30 dump trucks lined up with gravel to relay the road.
My God. Overnight.
Yeah, I mean, the guy can do anything. So we went in.
The miracle worker.
And we stayed on schedule. He's unbelievable.
Yeah. What about, did it provide any physical difficulties for you at all, apart from the rain?
Well, everybody got a little banged up at times because you're sliding up and down mountains. This is an adventure film, you know. Yeah. But nothing, no injuries certainly that weren't minor.
I heard you got.
It just cost much too much to get really hurt. But I was thinking that one of the things I loved about it was that I used to live in South America and I'm sort of bilingual, and it was actually terrific to go back into a Latin culture, and they never had an American. A gringa, actress that could cuss as well as they could. So we had a good time, and I think I was quite useful because our third character, the villain, really didn't speak any English at all.
Yeah.
So I was able to really translate, and that was fun. That was good.
Yeah, I heard you got cut and scratched a bit in the jungle work.
Yeah. Well, we had a bit of a landslide. The rain again was so heavy that we were up on this mountain road. And the mud just started to go, and this wasn't the mudslide. This was unplanned. So I got a little buried in that, and they pulled me out. So I got a little cut up. But
wait, what exactly happened? What the actual road just gave way, or?
Yeah.
How far?
Yeah, it was pretty scary at the time. But as soon as we got out of it, nobody was really too hurt. So you can let it go. But I've always been a bit of a tomboy. I mean, I really kind of love that stuff, so I don't mind very much. You
were getting into it as much as you could, were you?
You could always make it up, you make up the legs.
You're right. Playing, I mean, given, our understanding of the Kathleen Turner image as such, the strength.
Ooh, have I got one now? Oh.
Well, I think you've probably got several, in fact, now, particularly, but But just with, with playing the stronger woman, I mean, was it just letting yourself go and doing it, or was it a difficult thing?
Well, it was a little difficult in terms of it being very private. You know, everyone tends, I think, to respond to people's expectations. And if somebody comes up to you all the time and they're expecting you to take command of things and to be entrancing and, never seem to be at a loss, you try very hard to please them and to be that way instinctively. So the lovely thing about Joan in the beginning and all was that she really hasn't got anybody that asks her for anything, and that's very lonely, and that's actually the way life usually is. I think that Joan is the closest character that I've played. And
to you?
I mean, I have a little apartment in New York with a cat that looks exactly like that one. And until a couple of months ago, that was a scene I could visualize very easily. I mean, coming home from seeing a movie or something that I did and raising a toast to myself and saying, "Congratulations, kid." But I've changes now. I mean, I'm just got engaged, and I'm going to
Oh, really?
get married. So yeah.
Congratulations.
So life is changing.
And is the gentleman in the industry?
Not at all.
Not at all.
He's in real estate in New York.
Oh, really? What's his name?
Businessman. Yeah, which is really nice.
What is his name?
Jay Weiss.
Jay. How do you spell?
Weiss.
Right. Oh, great. When are you getting married?
This summer in August.
Oh, good.
I don't waste any time.
And what about? No, I can see that. Well.
Well, I just figured, why stop and think about this? Let's just do it.
But what about?
And I've never been married before, and I've never wanted to, so it must be,
What about things like children and the career? Are you?
Oh, definitely. Why not?
But are you going
All of it.
to do it now, or wait for a few years?
No, I think I'll wait a bit. There are a couple of very interesting films coming up, but I think I was brought up in a traveling family. My father was with the Foreign Service, so we moved different countries, different schools, things all the time. And I think kids do very well that way. I intend to cart mine around with me wherever I go.
Yeah, I think they do. It's an education in itself.
Yeah, it sure is.
Just going back to Romancing the Stone.
Yeah.
Of course, one of the inevitable things I think is it's happened here already, is that the film's compared with Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think that's a fair comparison?
Well, I'll tell you quite honestly, I don't, because it's for two reasons. The first is the technique of filmmaking itself, and that is one of Michael's decisions, which I think was very good, was to keep the film real, so that everything that's in the film was done and happened and is in real time, and as opposed to a lot of the Spielberg stuff, which is special effects.
Yeah.
And I feel as an audience, and I think other people can, you can see and you can admire and you can be thrilled by these things that you see happening on the film, but you know that they don't happen in your heart. The other thing that is the use of character. First of all, the woman is not simply a sidekick, which is important. I think the characters are very important. I mean, the story is more important than the action. And I always had the feeling, as much as I truly enjoyed Raiders, if Karen Allen walked away, nothing really would have changed.
Mm.
He just would have been alone again.
Right.
And I hope, and I don't think that's the feeling we have with this. I think that they stay together and that they are together is important.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned about there not being special effects, and yet, of course, there are certain special effects in the film. I mean, stunts and so on.
Only one. Only when the alligator bites the hand.
Right. But I think people equate stunts with special effects as well. They don't.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I mean, the public does. I think people.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the difference. Well, I suppose so. I mean, I suppose I've learned a little too much about that sort of thing, because a lot of the other things are set up and acted in front of a sort of blue screen.
Exactly. Yeah.
And all the effects in the background and everything are put in afterwards,
sure,
with Spielberg stuff.
Yep.
you know.
Yeah. Were you around when they did that incredible drive or dive or both over
Over the waterfall?
over the waterfall?
No, I couldn't be there. We come back to New York, and that was the second unit, and that was all stunt people.
Yeah.
But the first time I saw that, my heart stopped. I'm not kidding. I could not believe anybody would be that insane to do that. And I hope they were paid a hell of a lot of money.
So do I. I asked Bob Zemeckis what, whether they had any problems with it. He said, no. He said we had.
No, they didn't. It went off in one take.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, what about? You said you've got a couple of other interesting films coming up in the near future. What are they?
I haven't decided to do anything. It's fabulous that people are very interested right now, which is wonderful. But I haven't made any decisions. I've just been reading a lot of scripts lately, and it just looks to me like there are some very interesting films that are in the process of getting approval and everything for next year.
Right. What about stage work?
Yeah, well, I'm still doing it. I've been involved with developing some plays now, because I can do that, better than I could before.
Right.
And I'm hoping to get something on off-Broadway, but again, we're trying to get the money together,
Yeah. So are you one of those actors or actresses who makes a concerted effort to try and spend some time on stage, or are you just letting the jobs come in?
I've never not been on stage. I've been on stage every year.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I haven't let a year go by without it because, God, that was my original idea, and that's still, I don't feel like I've done the work there yet that I wanted to. It's as though, film has caught up with me a little bit, and I feel like I've been more successful in film suddenly than I have on stage, and that was not the way I sort of saw it.
Yeah. Well, I think Well, I was just going to say, I think the media tends to unbalance things. You can have only a minor success with film, and it gets enormous coverage. And you can,
of course, much more than stage. But I feel like the film has been taking up a lot of time.
Sure.
And I haven't been able to make a 6-month commitment to a stage piece, which is usually what it takes.
Yeah.
Of course, Kathleen went on to make The Jewel of the Nile, the sequel to Romancing the Stone, shot largely in Morocco. Her other films have included Prizzi's Honour with Jack Nicholson, Peggy Sue Got Married, and she re-teamed with Michael Douglas in The War of the Roses. Today, Kathleen is still a working gal. Her most recent feature film is The Swearing Jar, and she's been shooting The White House Plumbers, a TV drama about the downfall of President Richard Nixon.